Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1131B, and today's date is November 18th, 2016, and the title of the episode is Electors Are Now Being Threatened Before They Meet on December 19th. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, Trump is in the middle of putting together his transition team. We know the corporate media is bashing almost every single person that he is choosing. We can see that he has asked U.S. Senator Jeff Sessions to become the Attorney General, and U.S. Senator Jeff Sessions has accepted his offer to serve as the U.S. Attorney General. And we can see that he's putting together his team. And again, we need to watch the actions of Trump as we move along. But very interestingly, we know that the electors are going to meet on December 19th. And what we're hearing now is that the electors are being threatened with death threats. And what we're hearing is that people are calling up the electors and saying things like, "You hateful bigot, I hope you die. I will put a bullet in your brain." One of Michigan's 16 electors who would be called upon to cast a vote is Michael Benarian. He's 22 of Oakland County, Michigan, and he is one of the state's 16 official electors who will meet in the state capital of Lansing on December 19th to cast their vote. Another individual in Michigan, Kenneth Kreider, he says he's receiving death threats through email. He's gotten more than 300 emails from people in other states asking him to vote for Clinton. And he's saying that most of these individuals that are doing this are Clinton supporters. And they keep saying, well, you know something, this is inappropriate, and I'm not going to listen what you're saying. I will vote the way I want to vote. And we have to remember that George Soros, Hillary Clinton, Obama, the rest of them, who are pretending that nothing's happening, that they're not a part of this, their silence is really screaming out to us that we are completely behind the rioting. We're completely behind this, because if they truly want democracy, like they keep saying, well, Obama continually says this, yes, protesting, no problem. Rioting, hitting people, destroying businesses, that's something completely different. And not once have they come out and said, we condemn the rioting. The protesting is okay, but you need to calm yourselves down a little bit. You know why? Because they want them to do this. So if they say nothing, well, it's not our responsibility. We're not controlling this. We have nothing to do with this. And we can see by being silent is the same thing as saying, go ahead and riot. Now we have to remember the electors will meet December 19th. And if the candidate, once again, if the candidate if he dies or becomes incapacitated between the election day and December 19th, the electors that are supposed to be committed to the winning candidate, they would be free to vote for someone else. That's from now until December 19th. And if the candidate dies or becomes incapacitated between the meeting of the electors and the counting of the electoral votes in Congress, well, the Constitution is silent on whether this candidate meets the definition of president-elect or vice president-elect. If the candidate with a majority of the electoral votes is considered president-elect, even before the counting of the electoral votes in Congress, Section 3 of the 20th Amendment applies. Section 3 of the 20th Amendment states that the vice president-elect will become the president if the president-elect dies or becomes incapacitated. So we can see that we have many different areas where something might happen. And we can see that Soros, the deep state, shadow government, the central bank, Hillary's team, they are pushing for a divided America. They don't want Trump to become president. I mean, they're making it perfectly clear. And we can see right now from now until December 19th, we need to watch very carefully because it could happen. Something might just happen to Trump, and they might say, okay, now the Electoral College has to vote for someone else. It doesn't mean they're going to vote for Pence. They might even say, oh, wait. And of course, you know that Hillary and George Soros and Obama's going to say maybe they should look at the popular vote. Who got the most votes? And then they'll say, oh, okay, according to the corporate media and what we counted and including all the illegals that voted that weren't supposed to vote, yes, she got the popular vote. So we can see that they're playing a game right now. And they're hoping they're going to win this game. And again, we just need to be alerted about what is about to happen here. We see that Twitter is continually shutting down alt-right accounts out of the blue. They don't care. Freedom of speech does not matter. First Amendment, nope. James Woods is out there saying, you know something? I'm done with this. They're just shutting down accounts. He decided that he's going to quit his Twitter account because of censorship. He's protesting. We see DHS. Well, they're shutting down their operation with aerial surveillance that intercepts drugs and illegal crossings along the Mexican border. They decided, you know something, let's just shut it down. We're not doing it anymore. And we can see that Representative Henry Cuellar, well, he's saying that this is fully funded until 2017. Throughout 2017, why are they shutting it down? It makes no sense. Well, you have to remember that Jay Johnson is part of Obama's administration. They want illegals coming in. Do you really think they were using this to stop illegals or drug trafficking? No, they were using the surveillance to make sure that they can get these people through, to make sure the CIA and their drug trafficking gets through. And now they're just shutting it down. Well, we need to replace this with an organization that's actually going to do the job and secure the borders. And you know what's very interesting about all of this? Go back when Clinton was running for president, and he talked about illegals coming into the country and how this needs to be stopped. Because there are many speeches about him talking about this. And if you go back in time, you'll hear many presidents say that, yes, illegals coming into this country, something needs to be done about it. Now, are we going to stop every single one of them? No. I mean, yes, some are going to get through, but you need to stop the majority of them instead of saying, listen, everyone can come in. We don't care if you're a rapist. We don't care if you're a murderer. We don't care if you're part of a gang. We don't care about any of that. And we can see right now that Trump is right. We need to set something up to keep those coming into the country without going through the process. We need to stop it. Because there's no benefit for individuals just jumping over the border to the American people, the people that are paying taxes, the people who are in the system trying to look for jobs, the people who are trying to get by every single day. If these individuals would like to come to this country, no problem. Go through the process. It's very simple, and everyone can do this. We see that the Secret Service, well, they're in a bit of in trouble right now because thousands of sensitive assets belonging to the Secret Service, well, they're missing. Firearms, computer laptops, work badges, telephones, motor vehicles, lost during the last 15 years. And this is according to a document obtained by the nonprofit government watchdog Judicial Watch. Now, this is supposed to be the elite law enforcement agency. Where did this equipment go? And it's reported that it's around 11,780 lost or stolen assets between 2001 and 2016. That is a lot of equipment that the taxpayers pay for, that they can't find. Well, we know what happened to it. Now, in the past couple of reports during this year, the U.S. government was making a huge deal about the Zika virus. Joe Biden went to Congress and said, this is a state of emergency. We need to pass this bill. We need funds. We know Obama, since he couldn't get the funds for vaccines, he sent it over to Japan to have it developed there. And now we've come to learn that the Zika virus and its complications are no longer a global public health emergency. This is coming from the World Health Organization. The Zika virus and its complications, well, guess what? It still remains a challenge, but it's not as bad as they thought. Interesting. Who was building this up once again? Yes, the Obama administration. Obama is on his way out. Is there any reason to keep the propaganda going? Well, not right now. That's dying off. And look what we're hearing already. It's not that big of a deal. No more state of emergency. So again, we're hearing propaganda, and the propaganda is fizzling out. They didn't get what they wanted. And now, as Obama leaves office, you probably most likely won't even hear about the Zika virus unless Trump is cozying up to the deep state, the shadow government, and the rest. They'll bring it back. But otherwise, we can see that this most likely will completely disappear. We see out in Europe, well, they're having problems with free speech out there. And what's happening in Leeuwarden in the Netherlands, well, they're having problems because those individuals that are speaking out against refugees and other things, it looks like the police are monitoring Facebook, Twitter, and they're getting visited by police. And we can see that the police came to Mark Jean-Niel's office and told him that he tweeted too much and that he should watch his tone. And his offense? Well, one tweet said, the College of Sliedrecht comes up with a proposal to take 250 refugees over the next 2 years. What a bad idea. And the police picked this up on everything they've been watching, and they visited his office. And we can see right now, clearly the law is not equal. EU commissioners can make xenophobic remarks and get a promotion, and European citizens, for exercising their right to free speech, are arrested and prosecuted. And we can see right now that, yes, the police in this area, they have digital detectives monitoring Facebook, Twitter, and everything else. And once they pick something up, they pay a visit to individuals. I mean, this sounds like 1984 to me. Actually, it sounds like V for Vendetta when they drove around in that van listening to conversations. And once they heard something, they took those people away. And this is exactly what it sounds like. We see Obama has been meeting with the EU leaders when he's doing his goodbye tour throughout Europe. And he's convinced the EU leaders to agree to keep up anti-Russian sanctions over Ukraine. And we have to remember how this all occurred. In Ukraine, the United States, with Victoria Nuland, they staged a coup d'etat that cost about $5 billion to get rid of the elected leader, to put in a puppet government. And what happened was the people said, hey, we're not going to go along with this. Crimea said, you know something? We're going to have a vote, and we're going to vote to join Russia. And then the southeastern people in Ukraine, the Donbass region, said, you know something? We don't want to be part of this. This is not what we want. And all of a sudden, the central bankers, the shadow government, were sitting there saying, whoa, what just happened here? So then they started pouring on sanctions against Russia, saying, oh, it's Russian aggression. They're bringing in the military. They're invading Ukraine. And of course, at that time, they showed these 1970 satellite photos, blurred out, Photoshop with circles around them, saying that's what this is. And most of the time, they were completely fake, phony, and false. I'd say 99.999% of the time. And they kept on throwing up images of Russia invading the area. And then when you search on the internet, you said, oh, that picture was taken back in 2004. And how possibly can it be the exact same picture? And they were doing all of this kind of stuff, try to convince the world that it was Russia that was doing this. But it was the United States. And the United States right now, well, guess what? They are in there with CIA assets. They're in there training the forces. And what we've come to learn is now the CIA assets and these agencies are leaving Ukraine because Obama's term is coming to an end. People are jumping ship. The new president's coming in, and they're leaving the area. We see the U.S. is going to deploy new armed brigades to Europe, according to Stoltenberg, saying that 1,000 troops are going to be sent to Poland in support of NATO against Russia. We see right now that there was some type of altercation with a Russian reporter from RT and John Kirby, where she was asking questions about the hospitals that were bombed in Syria. John Kirby kind of went off the deep end, didn't want to answer the question, and she was asking the question, what evidence do you have? Who are these groups that are telling you this? And he couldn't give her an answer. And if he's talking about the white helmets, well, we know that they are funded by a group in London, and they spread propaganda. All they were asking is for the evidence. Where are the hospitals? Which ones are they? When were they bombed? Please give us the information. They even asked Great Britain, France, Germany, and other countries to provide any information on the location of these schools and hospitals. They couldn't provide it. They couldn't give them information because the reports are by the white helmets and anonymous local journalists. And that's all they have. That's the evidence they have. No satellite imagery, and we know they have satellites right above Syria. We know they have AWACS planes. We know they have everything in that area. Because what this is complete propaganda. We can see right now Russia, they are bombing Idlib and Homs. They are bombing the area to keep the Islamic State out of this area coming from Mosul, which we knew this was going to happen. We knew the Islamic State, the United States, was going to move them from Mosul into Syria to fight in Aleppo, and we can see right now Russia is bombing this area to keep them out of Syria. And we can see everything is falling apart. Now, many people say, well, we're going to have better relations with Russia. We don't have to worry about what is going on. But really think about what's going on here. Their plan was to keep the petrodollar propped up, to keep their system going so they can make more and more money from this, to become wealthier and wealthier. The system is dying. And now that Russia and Syria are taking back Syria, they'll never get into Iran, which means they're going to have to go back into the other countries to keep the puppet governments in power, which this might not happen, which means the petrodollar is doomed, which means all these countries are going to start to dump treasuries. They're going to start to dump their reserves and trade in their dollars. Oh, we're seeing that already. We're seeing that dumping of treasuries has hit an all-time record high. So it's already started. And what's happening right now is that since all of this didn't play out, we're going to see hyperinflation because all those dollars are going to come back to the United States. We're going to see the system implode, and most likely the dollar cease to exist on a global scale. The whole thing's coming to an end. Everything that we've been talking about is starting to happen right now. And as we move forward into 2017, you know it's just going to get worse. You know that D-Day is coming. You know the collapse is going to occur. And this is why you need to double your efforts and get prepared. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.